So I've been thinking a lot lately about how fast things are moving for us as a society and as an economy. And what used to be like an annoyance, for instance, right? When you see something like this get in your mailbox, and it used to be, oh, actually have mail in here, so I better not throw this out. That's even more annoying. But what used to be just an annoyance in my mailbox has now turned into an idea that I think it's important that we discuss as we continue to progress at an alarmingly fast rate. We have a serious fear of change as a society, and what used to be something that was just a personal fear that impacted only you has now turned into a fear that's impacting your business. For some reason, and I can't for the life of me explain why or understand why, well, actually I do. For some reason, a lot of small to medium and even large-sized business owners still haven't adopted the full online platform of advertising for their business. And we know this to be true because when we get home every day, again, we see this in our mailbox. And every time you see this, it's a sign that people are having a really, really hard time letting go of the past, also known as a fear of change. And over time, so much has happened since print became a thing. And the things that have come and gone since print, we don't rent movies at Blockbuster anymore, we don't cash checks anymore, but yet for some reason, we still hang very heavily on print. And I think we need to dig deep into the why and why we have this fear of change, of adoption into some new form of technology. Whenever you think of technology or any sort of advancement, I think there are three types of people, three groups of people. People who are early adopters, right? Those are the people that will always show you that new app. And you're like, wow, that's so cool. Those are the early adopters, people who are in the know ahead of everybody else. Then there's the crowd. The crowd is pretty much the largest chunk of people who adopt a new technology. I usually fall into the group where the crowd is categorized, right? I wasn't the first person on Facebook or Instagram, but now I am on Instagram, right? I wasn't the first person to, try online dating, but I have since tried online dating. And it's become the norm. Online dating is now more popular than meeting people in person. Don't get me started on that. I've got a lot of opinions on that. I personally still think it's nicer to meet someone in person, but look, times have changed, and now more people meet on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and all those sites than they ever did in person. And you think of other things that have changed, right? Like Venmo, for example. It used to be insanely scary to put your credit card or banking information on an online platform. 15, 20 years ago, if you came at me and said, put your personal social security number, bank information, all your privacy information on this app on my phone, I would have told you to, well, this channel is PG, but you know what I would have told you to do, okay? And then past the crowd, there's a group of resistors, right? People who are so desperately afraid of change that they are now categorized as the resistance. And I don't mean in like a fun movie way like Terminator or anything like that. If it's not for the advancement of technology, if the resistors had their way, then we would be stuck very, very far in the past. I think of a really fun quote by Henry Ford, Ford Automobiles, obviously. Hopefully I'm not misquoting it, but it goes a little something like this. He said that if I gave people exactly what they're used to all the time, then I would have just given people a faster horse instead of a new car. Maybe you still like to, go through coupons. Maybe you still like to read a physical book, right? That's a personal choice that won't impact anybody else. I actually also still like physical books. But for me to like physical books doesn't impact anybody else's lives around me, right? My friends don't care if I like personal books. My, business partners, employees, they don't care if I like personal books. It doesn't change their lives in any way. But for me to hold on to a lack of technology does change their lives. Let me give you a few examples. Think about the medical industry and think about printed medical records. We have now gone so far ahead in technology that I can book an appointment to see a doctor online. And we've gone even further than that, where we have video services to see a doctor right from your phone. I can schedule and see a doctor from a FaceTime app on my telephone, right? Can't believe I even just called it a telephone, shame on me, on my cell phone, where I can go face to face with a doctor and tell them, this hurts, or I have this headache, or and so on, and they could prescribe me whatever I need, or tell me I do need to go to the real hospital, but at least I can save a lot of time by doing something like this online first. And it's just about saving time. So if you're in a medical facility or a medical practice and you're still holding on to printed medical records, you will slowly start to lose the patients that you have, and especially the children of the patients that you have. Another example, think about your corporate environment and how you train your employees. Are you doing printed material to train your employees? Are you handing out pamphlets or printed guides or anything that involves training or coaching or leading your people through a piece of paper? Yes, there is still some impact in handing out playbooks and scripts in a corporate environment, but it is insanely more time efficient and time saving to use an LMS, learning management, something like Trainual. You've heard me talk about them in previous videos. They basically took the entire training model and made it so that you can train your employees or even your guests or your clients in video tutorials, and then those video tutorials get graded, and then you as the boss or supervisor or training team are able to see who passed and who failed and who needs more work and who needs less work and where to allocate your time. Think about advertising, right? I've touched on it a little bit already, but there's this idea that printed material is extremely cheap, right? I could open this money mailer, direct mail thing, and there would be like 30 pieces of paper in there, and the appeal to the business owner is that it's like 5-10 cents a piece. Well, Google AdWords and YouTube video ads are also 5-10 cents a piece, and you can actually target who you reach, and you only get charged when people engage with you, right? When I get something like this, you don't know what I need. You don't know if I have a car that needs to be fixed. You don't know if I need a new roof or a new glass sliding door. You don't know if I have a need for new shoes or whatever, right? You're not going to appeal to me because I'm not your target audience. But on sites like Yelp, Google, YouTube, you can actually target your audience to people who have expressed interest in doing business with you specifically. I actually just had a conversation with a friend of mine who works at an insurance agency, and his biggest complaint is that the founder or the owner of this insurance agency is very traditional and very old school and refuses to build a website, refuses to advertise online, refuses to do anything that involves the internet because it's how we've always done things. Again, think Henry Ford, right? If he said, well, it's how we've always done things, so I won't build a car, I'll just give you a better horse, right? Another major piece of this puzzle is the electric vehicle movement, and I feel compelled to talk about it. Also, take a second and subscribe if you haven't done so. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I talk about sales, leadership, small business management, advertising, patterns that are happening with today's society and economy. And I've now made 25 videos and I have over 130,000 views, and it's moving along, but I still need you to subscribe and hit the like button. It means a lot to me. It helps me keep this train moving at a very fast pace. So thanks. Take 2 seconds, all right? Let's talk about electric vehicles for a moment. More and more people are buying electric vehicles, but the people who own restaurants, shopping centers, apartment complexes, corporate structures, buildings still have not caught up to the movement of people who own electric cars. And I really genuinely feel like this is going to hurt you long term. And I read up on a bunch of statistics where approximately 38% more consumers are going to be driving some sort of either fully electric or electric hybrid vehicle in the next 5 years. That is an insane number, and I worry for you if you're an apartment complex and you don't have an electric charging station for me to park my car in. What I'm trying to tell you is that people who have electric cars and your apartment complex won't accommodate their charging needs, they will go live somewhere else. If you have a restaurant or a shopping center or a mall or a corporate office complex and you don't have an electric charging station, this will now impact people's decisions to shop with you and work at where you're offering a corporate environment. And you gotta start thinking about that. The Ford Mustang is now an electric vehicle. So maybe the most recognizable car in the history of America, the Ford Mustang, has now gone electric. What does that tell you? It is going to be the people who are early adopters who are now going to catch the attention of the up and coming millennials who are turning into full-blown adults with a lot of money, right? My barber, for example, now accepts Venmo, which is so cool, right? So there's no money exchanged with my barber anymore. I pull my phone out, I click pay, and we're done. And how simple is that? And now more and more people are choosing him because he offers that option. And you need to offer that option. And you need to stop advertising on print. And if you're a corporate environment, you need to give your employees a proper learning management system, again, like Trainual. And if you're a corporate office complex or a mall or a restaurant or an apartment complex, you need to give the people who park at your establishment an easier way to charge their cars, or they'll go somewhere else. It's time to start asking ourselves some really, really difficult questions. And sometimes, and this is an exercise I do with people as I ask them really difficult questions, I say something out loud just to kind of see how it feels, right? The question I want you to ask yourself out loud is, am I the person at the grocery store still paying with a check?